Hey guys, welcome. This is Jeff Wright with Fish Creek Capital. It's Tuesday, January 6th. We're live and unedited and just want to go over some of the market action today. And then I want to show you, hang with me. I want to show you some of the impact Venezuela has had on US companies, our companies. There's all kinds of opinions and news out there for what we should be doing or what we shouldn't be doing. But the Venezuelan government actually has taken a lot from our US companies. Stick with me. I want to go over some of the highlights. It's a lot longer list than you would think. So let's look at the market first. We're back up today. The S&P's up 0.5%, NASDAQ a little more than 0.5%. That's looking positive. I was going to show you though, one of the things that let me share my screen. Okay, there. Okay, that's coming up, I think. So what's interesting today is, like the RSP, that's what you see back here on my screen. Again, this is Thinkorswim. This is just informational purposes only. These are charts that we look at. And the RSP represents the equal weighted S&P 500, because last year, and really the last 2 or 3 years, what's worked so well is, the Mag 7, the technology is a major weight of the S&P 500, led by NVIDIA and, the other Mag 7 companies. Well, so far this year, especially with the news yesterday or over the weekend from Venezuela, today the RSP, the equal weighted ETF, that was lagging last year, but toward the end of the year, you saw it kind of coming to life and kind of catching up some to the regular S&P. And so today it's up 1% right now. You can see, again, this is live where we are at the highs for the day. And if we come over to the regular S&P, which is the SPY, it's up like 0.58%. It's up at the highs also, but it that's worth noting that the equal weighted S&P, again, I switch back to it here, it's up 1%. It's up a whole percent. So almost twice as much on the equal weighted S&P. Something to watch probably as we start this year and pay attention to, especially compared to last year, where technology again was driving a lot of the S&P. Will it happen again this year? We don't know. Nobody knows. But pay attention to the RSP as the equal weight S&P is doing pretty well as we start off January. All right, let's go to Venezuela and talk about some of the things that we've seen there with the companies that have been impacted by the Venezuelan government. So this is, I just pulled this up on ChatGPT. I have not gone back and compared this to Grok or Gemini. That's always good to do because these aren't always correct, but it did create a summary of some of the companies that the Venezuelan government has nationalized and seized assets over the years, mostly oil related, but you'll probably be surprised with some of the other companies that are mentioned here just the same. So of course, ExxonMobil, Venezuela nationalized its oil operations back even in the 2000s. So a lot of this has been going on for a long time. You saw that even Joe Biden, the presidency, the before Trump, this is not just a Trump thing. He had a bounty on, the Venezuelan government also. So this isn't just a Trump thing, and this has been going on for a while. ConocoPhillips had its assets taken, and when it refused new contract terms, Chevron, of course, we've heard a lot about Chevron. It did really well yesterday. Let's see how it looks today. Actually, let's just pull it up right here, just so you can see. Again, we're doing this live. Chevron. It opened up a lot yesterday and then kind of sold off. If I can type right here. Let's see. CVX is the symbol. Chevron is a good dividend payer. See, they're down 4.5% today. So they popped yesterday and then now they're giving it back today. They do have a pretty good dividend yield at 4.37%. It's a huge company, so they're up 2.75% this year. So they did. They normally don't move a whole lot, So that was, big news out of the weekend as far as Chevron having a concentration or at least a lot of assets in Venezuela. They have been impacted. Creole Petroleum. That's one that goes back to 1976. But let's look at some of the other companies outside of just the oil companies. General Motors had an assembly plant seized around 2017. Kellogg's had a food plant taken over. Owens, Illinois, they do the glass maker. They make all those containers that you put all your leftovers in and things. They had two facilities around 2010 impacted. Cargill and Williams companies, their plant, another gas processing facility. Oil rigs have been seized. Citgo Petroleum, another oil company, had assets seized. They're a major refining brand. But what's crazy is American Airlines lost money in the Venezuelan situation. Basically the summary is of all this right here. At one point here, they reported $750 million in Venezuelan ticket revenue couldn't be repatriated. Basically the summary of all this is about $500 million they've had impacted by Venezuela. So there's a good list of across industries, and I don't think I realized that. I don't think I knew that. So when you start making judgments on Venezuela, I think it's important to try to dig into the facts, even from a financial perspective, from the market's perspective, which is what we focus on here with Fish Creek and doing these live segments. Is we're focusing on the markets specifically, and so we want to dig into what is actually happening. And obviously the market is seeing this as positive. Yesterday the Dow was up 700 points. Today the Dow is up 500 points. I showed you earlier how the equal weighted S&P is outperforming. That would be a lot of the Dow type companies causing that. And even some of the banks are doing well today, just from, the activity that can be generated from new loans and things with all this news coming out. So yeah, Venezuela, they're not as innocent as they might, or as you might hope, which obviously it's a dictatorship. So that has ruined that country. Basically it's a failed state. So that's kind of obvious, but U.S. companies have been impacted. Good dividend growing companies have been impacted. And ultimately that impacts our cash flow during retirement. And so we want to pay attention to that. And we want to kind of look at companies now, I think, as we head into 2026 that could benefit from some of these actions that have just taken place over the weekend and what it will look like in the years ahead, especially for our cash flow and growing dividends as it relates to the U.S. companies that we'd like to invest in with dividend growth. So I thought that was helpful. I didn't really know, like Kellogg's would have been impacted by Venezuela. You don't really think about that kind of stuff, but they definitely have been. American Airlines, $500 million. That's a good bit of money, So something just to pay attention to as you're looking at these headlines. Just, dig deep. Don't just assume or think you know what's going on. Nobody really knows what's going on, but obviously the markets like it so far. And so we want to pay attention to that and learn from that. All right. Well, looks like we've got another hour and a half left today with the markets open. Again, we're holding the gains. Everything is looking pretty decent. So Amazon is strong today. Nvidia is having an event all week. Pay attention to their news if you're interested in Nvidia. It's kind of flat right now on the day, but they'll have a lot of news and things coming out. So we'll watch for that also. And yeah, so hope you enjoy your week. We'll catch you on the next one.